This video will cover the Joint Fundraising Management tool, also known as the JFC tool, which is intended to make the data entry process for JFC distributions easier and more efficient. One thing to keep in mind is that the tool does work best when the JFC and the recipient committees file out of the same database using separate filing committees. One thing you'll want to make sure that you have set up before using the tool is to have a JFC bank account as well as a special election period. Those will allow you to complete the data entry process. Once you have those set up, you'll go over to the Compliance tab and then down to Joint Fundraising Tools. And the first step of using the tool will be to create an allocation. The first part of creating an allocation involves selecting a methodology. I've gone ahead and already selected the waterfall methodology because it is the most commonly used option. And from there we can start to add a new level by giving it a nickname. We'll do level 7 and then selecting the filing committee. So select Lincoln for President, and then we'll use the 2020 general election. And then from there you'll have to set the contribution limits. I'll go ahead and set both for individuals and organizations to 10,000. And the last field here is the sunset date, which just represents the date that the level will remain active to. Most commonly we see used is the date of an election. So I'll go ahead and just set a date here. And then once you have the level set up as you need, go ahead and click the Save button. And then from there we'll proceed with the regular data entry steps. Okay, and so we'll proceed with the data entry for the contribution itself. We'll go ahead and type in George Washington as the contributor. The amount will do 50,000. And you'll see right here that the JFC Splits tab is available for me to click on. And the reason for that is because of the account and election period that I had specified earlier. If you have the account set to a non-JFC bank account, you'll see that that option no longer becomes clickable. So you'll have to be sure to have a JFC bank account. The reason behind the election period being a special election is so that the totals for this particular contribution don't affect the totals for any of the other election periods. And so going over to that JFC Splits tab, you'll see that the system does automatically calculate how much to allocate to each level. Now let's say we want to allocate some of this contribution directly to that level 7. We can override the system calculated totals by using the override boxes. So I'll change this one to 20,200, and then we'll allocate 8,000 to level 7. And then from there you would just have to save the transaction like you would with any other transaction. And then from there we'll go back over to the JFC Tools page so we can complete this particular distribution. And so now you'll see that level 7 appears here at the bottom of the list of all of the levels that we have. And I'll go ahead and click that Distribute Now button. And from here you'll be able to review all of the transactions for this particular level. And if everything looks good, you can click on the Complete Distribution button here. And then once you do so, you'll see that an expense entry will pop up here along the right side. This expense represents the money that is going from the JFC to the recipient committee. And so once you are completely satisfied with the data entry for this expense, all you have to do is click the Save button. And then you'll see that this particular distribution will now appear on the list on the left side, and your distribution is now complete. And that essentially covers all of the basics of using the JFC tool. If you need any additional information, you can refer to our help files, or you can reach out to Aristotle support.